Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today started off flipping one house a year and now does 200 a year. He's flipped and wholesaled over 500 properties and is a Navy pilot. Bill Allen is the founder of Blackjack Real Estate. Bill, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Seth. I'm happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine. And I have to say, there's something with pilots and real estate because there's so many guys who fly who also do investing.
Yeah, I know. Even just at my last airbase, Whiting Field, there were, we had a little meetup where there was probably 15 or 20 guys that were doing it or wanted to get involved. So I don't know. Maybe it's something with the checklist we always go through or the way our minds think or something like that. So yeah, I think a lot more military people are getting involved in real estate and their finances now, I think. So I see a lot of that going on, which is great.
Oh, that's so cool. So to kick things off, tell us about your real estate goals right now.
Sure. So right now, my goal for my real estate business, like my house flipping and wholesaling business, is to really kind of just stabilize the business. So this year, that was kind of our word, to kind of stabilize. We've been growing a ton and moving around to different cities, and the team has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger over the past few years. So for me, I kind of wanted to stabilize it. I brought in a COO, and I wanted to get him to run the company and kind of pull me out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then personally for me, I think my goals have changed a lot. I sold off a lot of my single family rentals. Just I was buying A-class properties. I thought that was going to get me where I wanted to go. And now I try to do more passive stuff where I'm kind of buying my time back. So that's kind of my goal, is to grow more passively. Maybe I invest in some syndications and things like that to try to let me spend more time with my family as opposed to working so hard like I have been the past few years.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, introducing you, you went from doing one house a year to 200 a year. So what sort of changes did you have to make in how maybe you thought about your business in order to scale to that size?
Yeah, probably the word that you said, business, right? So when it was just me running around doing everything, there's just there's a limit to what you can get and where you can go, I think. So I was I wouldn't even call it a business. I just kind of created a second job for myself, doing one house a year, buying another rental. I was still flying full time for the Navy. So, and I think the change that I made was getting around the right people. So I kind of paid to be in the right room with the right people that were doing that already. And when I did that, that's kind of where I saw this explosion, because I never thought of it like a business. I think people might talk about it a little bit more now than 3, 4, 5 years ago, but really looking at it that way, I kind of like the E-Myth, reading that and thinking about it like that. It just makes a lot of sense. And then for me, it was getting around the right people that were already doing 200 houses a year, and then seeing them do it. Just, they're no different than who I am and who we are. So we could do it too. So it was a lot of that stuff that happened there.
Yeah. And even bringing in your COO, what was that process like? Because up to that point, it's kind of your baby, and now you're kind of giving up control. So how did you wrap your head around doing that?
So I also saw somebody else who had done it, right? And being able to ask him questions and him help me through it and see what he would have done differently and what he liked that he did with that. And I saw a couple people that were only working three hours a week, sometimes none. It's just amazing. And so for me, I think with that COO there were some things, and I still maybe haven't given up the finances, all the CFO type stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I really like to do, that I still kind of tinker with. Mm-hmm. But it was definitely a challenge. But I was also ready for it. It was the time where I said, okay, I've created this. We can keep, with me running the company, we can keep doing what we're doing at, $1.5 million a year or so in gross profit. And I could just put that kind of on autopilot. And if something came up, I would have to get involved. So that was the stuff that I didn't love. Somebody quits, or we have a problem in the business, I was always jumping in. So really wanting, like I said, buy my time back. So bringing him in, it took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take to get him up to speed. But it has been a blessing, I think, for me and for him. I think he really enjoys what he does. He works hard, but we're growing this together, and we can see opportunities together too. So definitely giving up some of the stuff was a little bit challenging, but less so because over time, starting the business and growing it, I've gotten more comfortable with giving things up and realizing that somebody might not do it the way that I'm going to do it or 100% as well as I might do it. But when I have 10 people doing 50 to 80% of how I would do it, then we're just way more powerful together. And eventually they become better than you.
Yeah.
And you've got to give them the ability to do that stuff, or they're never going to have, you're never going to have the opportunity to reach the level that you might want to reach.
Yeah. And that speaks directly to the book you mentioned, The E-Myth. You're moving from that technician mentality where you're doing everything yourself and, building up a real business. So you mentioned that you are moving to different markets. What sort of challenges have you encountered? Because, you have all your systems, you have all your people in the one market, and then you pick up and then you move to the next one. How have you overcome those challenges?
Well, so I think we do pretty well at researching the market and having kind of a process when we go somewhere new. And really I find it's people. It's a lot of times it's the people and it's other businesses. So when you're I look at us as this kind of marketing and sales service type business, not necessarily a real estate business. And when I look at it like that, I'm reliant on all these other businesses to run properly. So when we go into another market, I'm basically heavily reliant on other businesses that may not operate at the potential and the well-oiled machine that I think that ours do. So a lot of times that's where it gets us into some trouble, is kind of learning maybe title companies and contractors and anybody like that we have to rely on their capability to run a process for us. And then we might have to move and really until we find our groove. So it definitely takes some time. There's also obviously some cash flow that comes with that. So up front, we're spending a lot more money than we're making. So really kind of projecting and forecasting that is important. So there's a ton of so I live in Nashville and we were running virtually. I moved to Nashville like 2.5 years ago. And we were virtually running in Florida for a little while. And I was really uncomfortable doing that, but I was forced to do it first. And then once I was forced to do it, it actually turned into a good thing. And it allowed me to put systems in place and a little bit more process and procedures for us. So then it made it a little bit easier to go into a market. So I don't know, we kind of dipped our toe in it before we really jumped in. And now effectively we could probably jump in a few more places right now if we wanted to. And we're probably not far off from doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're getting into the more passive investing. You mentioned you're involved in a couple syndications on the limited partner side. Is that, how do you see your two investing strategies? Do you see the flipping business as generating the capital to then move over to the passive side? Is that how you're trying to run it?
Yeah, I've always kind of felt that way. So even with my rental properties, when I was flipping on my own, just like one house a year, I would use those profits to go buy another rental, and then I'd run out of money, and then I'd say, well, I got to take another 6 months to find another flip to do.
Yeah.
Is usually what the process looked like. It would be like 1 and 1 each year. And so now I look at my business. I'd like to, it's very active income. Although now that I've kind of hired my COO out, I do make some decent passive income there with my salary. I still get paid a salary from the company. And as well as my retirement accounts. So I get to fill up 401ks, IRAs, things like that, from the business that I own. And then now I can go look for other opportunities. So I've always had that idea of, I kind of want both. I've got to work probably 40 hours a week or so at least, or else I feel just uncomfortable. I'm not the guy who's going to sit on the couch and watch TV all day. So I've always got some active income that's going to come in. And then, I do feel like that should feed something. I've always had this mentality in my mind of for every dollar I spend, I want to make $2. So, that's how I look at everything that comes in. Like, what can we do with it? And we do have a little bit of fun, but I like to, take that active income and turn it into some passive investment.
Yeah.
And I found I'm really pretty good in the real estate side. Like the flips that we're doing are raising money. So now I help some other people raise money for their projects and things like that from people that I know, connections that I've made, present opportunities to some people. And also I kind of see those deals in the beginning to invest myself in them too, which is nice. So
that's a good place to be in.
Yeah, for sure. If you can figure out how to how to see things but you're helping, like, I can help the people who have gone out and found the deal. Cause I know I don't have time to go, or even the experience or knowledge to go out. And right now I just don't have the time to put in to go learn multifamily assets and spend a ton of time. I know what a return looks like. I know how to look at their proposals and kind of look at the market indicators and things, but I'm not going to talk to those sellers, knocking on those doors. We're knocking on different doors. So, now, and then, being able to, bless my friends and family with a great return, this opportunity, things like that. And it just kind of starts to snowball over time.
Yeah. And lots of our viewers, they may be, just getting started in investing, either active or passive. What sort of things are you looking for as a passive investor when a operator brings you a deal?
So for me, I want to look at, I personally, and I think everybody that invests with us is really looking at kind of a relationship and who that person is. Because I'll tell you, the best deal can turn into the worst deal depending on who's running it.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of people that bring me things and ask me to do a hard money loan or something like that. And I don't know who they are, or I haven't spent time with them. That for me, that's really it. Like, I wouldn't say that my deal analysis is perfect, but I do really like to invest with people that I know, like, and trust. And I think that's the way that I look at it for anybody that comes to me with their money too, because even if it's through me to somebody else, they're going to be looking at me when the deal goes bad. Right. Yeah. So I really spend more time with the people that I know. If somebody's bringing me a third party deal with some other operator that I don't know, it's usually a no from me. I mean, I honestly don't care how big and great the return's going to be, just because I've been in that situation before. And I really don't like it. I'd rather be, the morals, ethics, standards, integrity, those kind of things are probably more important to me than the deal. So that's kind of my thing. If somebody comes to you with a like really incredible smoking hot deal, it doesn't mean it's too good to be true, but it's something's happening. So yeah. I don't know. That's my thing, is I really want to invest with people that we align in kind of core values.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And on every deal, there's always something that goes wrong. So again, like you said, the person's so important, because it's how they deal with that and communicate, and how they're going to act once that problem comes up.
It's exactly like what we talked about going into the other market. It's another operator, it's another business. You're relying on them with your money and your investment and your time and all that stuff. So you want to make sure that, when you think about it, when something really goes wrong, you're in that deal together, right? So then what happens? So if something happens to them or they get knocked out, you've got to make sure that you're with the right people. So.
Yeah, 100%. So you've done over 500 flips or wholesale so far. Is there one that stands out as a keystone deal that made a big impact on you and your business?
Yeah, there is one that I remembered when I was kind of thinking about this and trying to figure it out. And it was, I had done a couple of flips and a couple things myself. And then I was starting to build a team. I joined this kind of mastermind group, got around the right people, joined this team. And then I started building this team. And then we had been marketing for like 3 or 4 months. And I always tell people, you set up a 6-month runway with money, process, all these things. Like, don't just send out some mail or do some pay-per-click advertising for a month or two and then quit and say it doesn't, because you never know when that first deal is going to come. So in growing my business, I had done a couple deals, but it was this wholesaling thing was new. I was this flipper. I wanted to be a flipper. I thought wholesalers were kind of scum. They just fell backwards into money. They weren't really doing anything to provide value for the market. Little did I know how hard it was and what a real wholesaler's business really should look like. So 4 months had passed and I was just spending money, saying, okay, it's working for these other people. It can work for me. And I had this kind of mentality. And we had just hired a salesperson. So I hired a salesperson. I had a phone person. She was answering all the phones because I was flying full time. I just hired a salesperson. And kind of on just this, she came on with me with this idea of what this business should look like, right? I hadn't produced a ton of volume. I wasn't doing it, but I said, look, this is the next step. And if I'm going to keep going on these appointments, we're not going to grow. So she would go, and during the training, I couldn't train that week. I was flying, and my phone person and my salesperson went on the appointment and they got a house under contract. Nice. And I looked at it and said, I don't know. This isn't an area that I'm not that excited about. This is a house that I probably wouldn't have bought for that price. I'm a little bit worried about it. Let's try it. And we sent it out to our list and started marketing it and looked at it. And I said, I don't know if we're going to sell this thing. And I had a meeting with a guy. I was doing the back end fulfillment. So the dispositions, we call it in my business. So I was doing all that, and I was networking and trying to move, the contracts and sell the contracts and all that stuff. And I was worried about this one. And I had a meeting with a guy who knew a lot of people, and he wanted to form a relationship, a business relationship. And so we got along really well. And he ended up, he was a realtor, and also in a community that buys a lot of rental houses with his family and friends and things like that. So he brought a buyer to this house. We made $10,000 on it, and it changed the path, I think, of me and my business, period. Without that, and then because that was our first deal. It was really like our first deal as a business together. They did it. I didn't go see it. I never saw the house, never drove by it, nothing. And so we made $10,000 on that, put the money back in the bank. And from there, it was like 2 deals the next month, 3 deals the month after that, then another 3, then 4. And it just kind of grew from there. But, I really find there's that period in your business and your real estate investment life that light switch just turns on and you say it's possible. And so I really feel like that one was it. So I don't think I've ever shared that story. I've been on plenty of these podcasts. I've talked at seminars and events and things like that. I don't think I've ever shared that story because in thinking and preparing for this one, I really do feel like that was the one time that changed the kind of path of where we went as a business. So anyway, we didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't like the sexiest one we've ever done. It definitely wasn't the sexiest house we ever bought and sold, but it was those singles. And it just, knowing it's possible. So I always tell people the difference between doing 0 and 1 is like night and day. So the people who have done 1 deal before or 100, they're not that far apart, but the people who are between 0 and 1, those people are really far apart, I think.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like our business going from 0 to 1. It was a huge explosion of learning and all these other things. So yeah, that's kind of it, I think.
That's a great story. And like you hit the nail on the head. Your first deal is like, it gets you going. I always say like your first 3 are probably the most challenging, and then it gets a whole lot easier after that. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Now it's like, I don't know. It's not, for me, it's not about the real estate anymore. We're helping people. We're trying to, grow as a business. We're trying to grow a company now and do a lot of other things, make a lot of impact. So that, I don't know, that 0 to 1 is the interesting time for people, I think. And like you said, yeah, 2 and 3 for sure. And I had done deals myself, plenty of, like, I don't know, plenty, but I've probably done like a dozen or so myself. But this was like the 3 of us just going and them believing that it's possible changed the game for the business too, right? Because before it was this idea. So this salesperson got their profit, the phone person got her profit, and they're going, okay, we can do this. And then it was like exploded from there. So
it changes how they talk, how they see opportunities, everything.
Mm-hmm. And it was so fast when that salesperson came in that she was so encouraged to dig in the database and go and things that I missed, other appointments. So she just took off. She exploded really fast out of the gate after that. So I think it was really powerful.
Yeah. Nice. So how has getting into real estate changed your life so far?
So it's changed my life a lot. So I don't fly full time for the Navy anymore. I fly part time. I fly about 60 days a year. So I was able to, leave a military. I always said I'll keep flying as long as I'm having fun and really enjoying it, and I still really enjoy it. So I get to keep doing it. But they were going to put me at a desk, and I had the opportunity and I flew for 15 years straight. I never got out of the cockpit once, and it's really rare to do as a Navy pilot. So when they said that was kind of the next step for me, it was kind of, I wasn't sure that was going to be fun anymore. So I had the opportunity to step back from that because I had a, producing business and something that was doing well. We also have our middle son, James. He was, when my wife was pregnant, he was diagnosed with a heart defect and a chromosome anomaly. So we had the ability to pick up and move from Pensacola to Nashville and buy a house in like 7 days. So we came up here my wife was like probably a month away from having the baby. And the doctor here, I looked at him and I said, Doc, if you had the ability to move here, this was your kid, would you do it? Or would you have the baby in Pensacola and bring him up here to have surgery? He said, I would move here. So we did. We found a house online. We paid cash for it. We bought it. We moved in 7 days. We showed up and my wife was crying because it was a disaster, but I fixed it up. I hired some people while they were in the hospital after he was born and all this stuff. So it gave me the ability to kind of be home now. I'm home all the time. He has appointments and he's 2.5 years old now. He had 4 open heart surgeries in the first 6 months he was alive. He's got 1 more to go. He's an incredible little boy. And we have another one after that. So we have 3 under 5 right now. So
all the power to you.
All boys. So I have the ability to be home and choose my schedule and do what I want to do and not be tied to anybody else's timeline or schedule or any of those things. So like the freedom that real estate gave me is huge. The confidence that it gave me in business. I feel like you could take away, and I know that I've said this before, but you could take away all my money. You can take away all my things, everything, drop me on the corner somewhere in the world. And I feel like I can build a successful business in real estate, out of real. I feel like I can put a donut shop on the corner somewhere and be successful. Yeah. So I really, I feel like I got a PhD in business and it just came from real estate, all of that stuff. It's just, and the people that I've met along the way, like being on podcasts like this with you, Seth, and the listeners that listen to you and growing their business, like this stuff is so cool. This is what we do for a living. And how cool is that? Yeah. And additionally, I feel like when we get to a certain level, we have the need and we got to go give back. So the impact that we can make in real estate, like one example is we're right now down in Pensacola, we bought and we're renovating a house to give away 100%, no strings attached, fully renovated house to a Gold Star family. So somebody who lost their loved one in combat. So, and I want to do 2 of those next year, and I want to do 5 the year after that and 10 the year after that. And I want to motivate other people to do that stuff. So you just have this ability, I think, in real estate to generate wealth and then figure out, kind of an avenue of what your superpower is, and then how can you go do good with it. So, yeah. I don't know. It's a really cool business and additionally, I got 15 people on my team that we can give back to. I mean, they've been blessed with, nice income, steady job, do something that they love, get pushed personally and professionally to be better by an owner that is just going to, push them to be a better person. If they want to go do something else, that's okay. It's running a small business is fun. So all that stuff, it's cool.
Yeah. And with real estate, it only takes a handful of years of dedicated, driven work to change your life to that level that you're talking about.
I did the years that I was doing 1 flip a year, my flips were producing about 40 to 45,000 somewhere. I was just doing these big, like I wanted it to be like meaty type deal, right? I wasn't doing thin $15,000, $25,000 profits. The year after that, we did, as a small team, we did almost $700,000 in gross profit. So before expenses. And then the year after that, we did 1.35 million, then 2.3 million. And so this year, our goal is to do 3.5. I think we'll fall a little short, but even if we're close to 3 million, I mean, that's a crazy growth. You never see this year over year growth of almost 100% in any business. I mean, you look at anybody, they're talking about a couple percent. Difference. So it's definitely possible and it's attainable. I don't feel like I'm any different than anybody else who's listening. It's just about, dedication, taking action, and doing the steps that's needed to become successful and being confident. Yeah. Being around the right people too, I think, is like listening to stuff like this, going to some events, doing things, networking, just to see what's possible. I remember being next to that first guy, my mentor, who was doing a couple million a year, and I said, they make $1 million a year? Like I wanted to make $1 million in my whole life. Yeah. I never thought it was possible to do that in a year. So it just shattered what I thought was possible. So,
yeah, that's a great story. So if somebody's looking to reach out and get in touch with you, where can they find you online?
Yeah, you can check out our website. So I hired a marketing manager. She just revamped the whole thing. She took my baby, like you said in the beginning, Seth, and she just like crushed it and made this thing that was beautiful. So I did all that myself before. Now it's gone. But blackjackre.com is our website. And then Blackjack Estate, facebook.com/Blackjack Estate is where we're at on Facebook. You can kind of see our renovation projects. So you follow us along on our like house giveaway project there. We do like live videos and stuff like that, walkthroughs of our projects. Yeah, and you know, I'm a coach of a mastermind group, but so you can find me at Seven Figure Flipping. That's where I hang out a lot. That's where I went through, and you know, where we give back a lot now. It's really nice to be able to give back to some newer investors and even people that are trying to grow to, you know, $10 million a year. So,
yeah. For sure. No, that's awesome. Well, Bill, thanks so much for taking the time today and sharing those awesome stories. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, you too, Seth. It was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure was all mine. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.